Random House Audio presents The Progress Paradox, How Life Gets Better While People Feel Worse, by Gregg Easterbrook. Read for you by Rick Adamson. Suppose your great-great-grandparents, who lived 4 generations ago, materialized in the United States of the present day. Surely they would first be struck by the scale and clamor of present-day life, and might not like these things. Neither do we necessarily. The physical speed of contemporary life would also shock our forebears, who considered New York to London in a week to be a blazing fast transit, and none of whom ever experienced the velocity now common to everyone on highways. When newfangled Great Western Railway steam engines left London in 1844 to pull coaches at 45 miles per hour, commentators expressed horror at such unnatural swiftness, while physicians urged passengers to avoid the trains on grounds that anyone moving so rapidly would surely suffocate. Now much greater speeds go unnoticed in daily events. We live, work, and try to relax surrounded by steel objects whizzing past, many of them guided by teenagers. The psychological speeds we must sustain, and the attendant anxieties, are in their own ways as hazardous. Add in nuclear bombs, global terrorism, and the inescapable inanity of mass entertainment, and your great-great-grandparents' initial reaction to the present day might be to recoil in dismay and demand to return to their own time. Yet, as your ancestors 4 generations removed learn more of contemporary life, they would be dazzled. Unlimited food at affordable prices, never the slightest worry about shortage, unlimited variety, strawberries in March. So much to eat that in the Western nations, overindulgence now plagues not just the well-off, but the poor being more prone to obesity than the population as a whole. 4 generations ago, the poor were lean as fence posts, their arms bony and faces gaunt. To our recent ancestors, the idea that today even the poor eat too much might be harder to fathom than a jetliner rising from the runway. Many other aspects of present-day life would strike our recent ancestors as nearly miraculous. The end of back-breaking physical toil for most wage earners, the arrival of leisure, the typical person now engaged in exertion, either for pay or within the household, works about half as many hours as in the 19th century. The advent of instantaneous global communication and same-day travel to distant cities, the end of formal discrimination against minorities and women, increasing opportunity while allowing those who succeed to feel their achievements are fairly won. Today, we live a long time in fairly comfortable circumstances, enjoy goods and services in almost unlimited supply, travel where we wish quickly and relatively cheaply, talk to anyone in the world, know everything there is to know, think and say what we please, marry for love, and have sex with whomever will agree, and wail in sorrow when anyone dies young, for this once routine event has become a wrenching rarity. All told, except for the clamor and speed of society, and for trends in popular music, your great-great-grandparents might say the contemporary United States is the realization of utopia. Yet, how many of us feel positive about our moment, or even believe that life is getting better? Today, Americans tell pollsters that the country is going downhill, that their parents had it better, that they feel unbearably stressed out, that their children face a declining future. And Americans were telling pollsters this even during the unprecedented boom that preceded the tragedy of September 11, 2001. The percentage of Americans who describe themselves as happy has not budged since the 1950s, though the typical person's real income more than doubled through that period. Happiness has not increased in Japan or Western Europe in the past half-century either, though daily life in both those places has grown fantastically better, incorporating all the advances already noted, plus the end of dictatorships and recovery from general war. On the first day of the 21st century, President Bill Clinton declared that Western society had never before enjoyed at once so much prosperity combined with so much social progress. This statement was not just politics. Objectively, it is true. Nevertheless, the citizens of the United States and the European Union, almost all of whom live better than almost all of the men and women of history, entertain considerable discontent. Arriving at this moment, your great-great-grandparents would be surrounded by people who take for granted circumstances our ancestors would view as astonishing progress in the ancient quest to banish privation and establish a golden age. But even if the arrow of progress points toward an ever better life, unhappiness persists and is wholly real, regardless of whether our recent forebears might find it unbelievable that anyone could be unhappy in an air-conditioned house with a refrigerator crammed with food and ambulances on call. We live in a favored age, yet do not feel favored. What does this paradox tell us about ourselves and our future? Though the airfield does not appear on many charts, its existence is whispered of among pilots. The approach requires skill and timing, and there have been accidents, but when the mission is important, some risks must be accepted. Flyers who have data pulse receivers of the extraordinarily accurate Global Positioning System satellite network use these devices when inbound, as the runway is only 2,350 feet long, short by the standards of such things, which places a premium on putting the wheels down precisely at the beginning of the field so as not to run out of runway at the end. Pilots exhale with relief when the landing is complete. Once on the ground, planes are directed to taxi to a secluded ramp where crew and passengers quickly debark to swing into action, because there might be a wait for tables. The aircraft are not military transports full of commandos, but small private planes full of diners landing at McGeehee's Catfish House in Marietta, Oklahoma, one of the increasing number of fly-in restaurants in the United States. The runway belongs to McGeehee's and serves it exclusively. The field is lit for night landings, since the kitchen is open late. Guidance beacons with the aviator's designation Loran T40 can be used to find McGeehee's, this being the international locator signal not of an airport or classified facility, but a restaurant. At McGeehee's, you walk from your airplane to the hostess station. Much of the dinner trade arrives from Dallas, about 40 air minutes away, though diners fly in from as far as hundreds of miles distant to savor a menu highlighted by fresh farm-raised catfish, pickled tomatoes, and turtle cheesecake. Nearly 1,000 fly-in restaurants are open for business in America today, according to an organization called $100 Hamburger. Small private planes cost around $100 an hour to operate. Most are simply eateries adjacent to general aviation airports, but an increasing number, like McGeehee's, have become fly-in in the complete sense. So far, fly-in restaurants offer no fly-through windows for takeout. That may only be a matter of time. Regardless of whether the fly-in restaurant is a breakthrough or an absurdity, what is telling is that the aircraft landing at McGeehee's are not private jets of the super-rich. Rather, they are 1- and 2-engine propeller planes of farmers, oil field workers, mid-career professionals, and others from the middle class, men and women who are scarcely oligarchs, but who can afford to own an airplane and to drop $100 on a whim for a platter of fresh catfish. Fly-in communities have sprung up as well. Entire housing developments built around runways for small planes. Pecan Plantation, completed at the turn of the 21st century near Fort Worth, Texas, has 125 homes, all served by taxiways. Planes can land, taxi home to the owner's house, and be parked in the drive. If fly-in dining and runway-based homes aren't your cup of tea, how about golf course living? Today in the United States, there are at least 200 housing developments built around fairways. At these communities, one sees golf carts scooting along side streets. Many residents own their own carts, park them in the garage, and ride directly from the back porch door to the clubhouse. Golf course living, with club membership typically included in the home purchase price, has grown so much in popularity that developments are now found not just near big-money cities, but in states such as Missouri and Wyoming. Prefer the lake to ducking aircraft or dodging golf carts?
Sample complete. Ready to continue?